Spoiler warning. This video contains spoilers from the game that I played, and I'm making a video about it. So, yeah, don't bitch about it in the comments. Thank you.
We're always free to choose. To believe what we want to believe. But when you step back, when you really look at where you've been and the things you've done, your past will come to devour you.
Bendy and the Dark Revival is a first-person survival horror game developed by Joey Drew Studios, a sequel to the powerhouse indie 2017 title, Bendy and the Ink Machine. Released on November 15th, 2022, Bendy and the Dark Revival is the perfect sequel for its predecessor, while introducing new characters, mechanics, and a deeper storyline. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about Bendy and the Dark Revival. I wish I dove into this at launch. Even though I did pretty well dodging spoilers, I still missed out on the hype and theorizing about the lore. I was not expecting to fall in love with these characters. In the first game, we played as Henry, a lost soul trapped in the inkish nightmare. But in the Dark Revival, Audrey feels a little bit different. Yes, she's a victim of stranger danger over here, but she ends up becoming this messiah of the ink world. Okay, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let's start from the top. Bendy and the Dark Revival begins with Audrey, a talented animator at Archgate Pictures, who finds herself mysteriously transported into a twisted version of Joey Drew Studios. The studio is now a nightmarish world corrupted by living ink creatures. Audrey tries to escape this ink-infested nightmare, but as she delves deeper into the studio, she uncovers the dark secrets of its past and her own unexpected connection to this eerie place. As Audrey navigates through these ink-soaked halls, she encounters various characters, like Alice Angel, Henry Stein, Alice Angel, and even Joey Drew himself. Among the shadows is the terrifying ink demon, Bendy. He stalks the player throughout the studio, lying in wait to strike.
Oh, it's Bendy. Look at him. He's so adorable. He got his little choo-choo train in his gloves. Oh, I just want to squeeze him. I just love him.
These encounters with past characters reveal fragments of the studio's history. Joey Drew's malevolent experiments in the creation of the ink creatures that now haunt the player. Throughout the game, Audrey uncovers Joey's sinister plan to use ink and animation to achieve a form of twisted mortality. And as she pieces together the truth, she discovers her own surprising ties to Joey and his experiments, which kind of complicates the whole thing of like escaping this fucking nightmare. And the climax of the game reveals that Audrey and Bendy are two halves of a whole of this ink world. The final battle is both a physical and psychological challenge, pushing Audrey to her limits as she fights to free herself and others from the inky grasp. In the end, Audrey's actions determine the fate of the studio and its inhabitants. The choices she makes and the truths that she uncovers shape the ending, offering closure to this harrowing journey. Bendy and the Dark Revival ends on a sense of resolution, but it does leave the door open for future exploration. The plot had so much depth, and yes, the developers did pander a little bit to returning players, but they also crafted new characters and wove them seamlessly in with the story. Seeing Henry caged up was a bit of an out-of-body experience. We played this character, we know him, but we never looked him in the eye before. Joey is now a repenting memory. And Alice Angel, well, she's still Alice Angel, but everyone feels more fleshed out. The only character I wish that we got actual screen time with was Boris. He was so central in the first game, and they did nothing with him? Oh, wait, I'm sorry, they did something at the very end of it, okay. Honestly, I wouldn't change a single thing about the story. I kept finding myself just asking, what's next? Is that a retcon? What's going on? The level design is a key component to the game's immersive and eerie atmosphere. Joey Drew Studios, the primary setting, is meticulously crafted to reflect a decaying, ink-infested animation studio from the first game. But nothing feels copy and paste. The design team paid close attention to detail, creating environments filled with vintage equipment, old animation cells, and dark, foreboding corridors. Each area of the studio is unique, offering varied aesthetics, challenges that keeps the player engaged, and pretty much on the edge 90% of the time. Jump scares, man. The layout of the studio encourages thorough exploration and problem solving. Players must navigate through the labyrinth of hallways, secret passages, and hidden rooms, uncovering clues and items necessary for progression. The integration of environmental storytelling is seamless. Every corner of the studio is telling a piece of a broader narrative through visual cues, audio logs, and written documents. Enemies are designed to complement the game's horror elements and challenge the player's skills. The primary antagonists are the ink creatures, grotesque manifestations of Joey Drew's failed experiments. These enemies vary in form and behavior, from the common lost ones to the more unique and terrifying creatures like Twisted Alice and the Butcher Gang members. Each enemy type requires different strategies to overcome, adding depth and variety to the combat. The Ink Demon remains one of the most iconic and fearsome adversaries in the game. His appearances are often unpredictable and fucking terrifying, creating moments of intense suspense. The game employs a mix of scripted encounters and dynamic AI behavior for Bendy, ensuring that the players never feel entirely safe. His relentless pursuit and the need to hide or even run from him amplify the game's tension and terror. Level design and enemy placement are intricately linked to the overall gameplay experience. Strategic placement of enemies is in key areas of the studio forces players to think on their feet, using the environment to their advantage. Stealth elements are crucial, as some encounters are best avoided rather than be confronted head on. It was so awesome to see the studio again, but this time we got a deeper dive. I probably could have spent twice as much time playing this just to find all the secrets and collectibles and all the cool stuff. And the gameplay was such a great step in the right direction. Bending the Dark Revival builds on the first-person survival horror mechanics of its predecessor, offering a more enhanced and more immersive experience. The game emphasizes exploration, puzzle solving, and survival within the confines of the studio. As players navigate through the twisted environment, they encounter a variety of challenges and obstacles that require both wit and agility to overcome. Exploration is a key aspect of the gameplay. Players must meticulously search through the detailed environments of the studio, uncovering hidden rooms, collecting items, and piecing together clues that drive the narrative forward. Combat is a bit quirky. Audrey can defend herself against the ink creatures using various weapons and abilities that she finds throughout the game. These include simple melee weapons like pipes and wrenches, as well as more specialized tools designed to combat specific enemies. But most of the time, the combat kind of comes down to whack till it's dead. The combat system requires players to balance offense and defense, as Audrey's health and stamina must be managed carefully during encounters with the studio's nightmarish inhabitants. Stealth mechanics add a layer of strategy to the gameplay. In certain situations, Audrey must avoid detection by hiding in the shadows or sneaking past enemies. This element of stealth is crucial, as some creatures are just way too dangerous to confront directly. The tension is heightened by the game's atmospheric design, with dim lighting, eerie sound effects, and the constant threat of being discovered creating a sense of suspense and urgency. Resource management is another critical component of the gameplay. Players must manage Audrey's health, stamina, and limited supplies, making strategic decisions about when to use resources or to conserve them for more challenging encounters around the corner. At least it would if resources didn't ooze from every crevice of the game. Seriously, the one thing lacking the most was probably me forgetting to charge up my pipe. The developers did such a great job with this. They really pushed themselves to dig them out of that corner that they put themselves in episode 5 of the first game. Okay, to be fair, the development of Bendy and the Dark Revival was a significant undertaking for Joey Drew Studios, building on the success and lessons learned from Bendy and the Ink Machine. Yes, they dug themselves into a hole with episode 5 of Bendy and the Ink Machine, and nothing was really answered, and it felt like a cheap way to, like, hey, play the game again. But the development team did an amazing job, focusing on creating a game that would not only meet the high expectations of fans, but also attract new players with its polished design and an engaging story. A key aspect of the development was enhancing the game's graphics and art design. While maintaining the distinctive 20th century animation aesthetic that defined the original game, the developers pushed for higher quality visuals and more detailed environments. The gameplay mechanics received a significant overhaul as well. The team listened to feedback from players previously, addressing the boring and stale moments of the first game. The development team also worked to ensure that this new storyline seamlessly integrated with the existing lore. Okay, yes, some retconning took place, but in doing so, they enhanced the continuity and coherence of the series as a whole. Bendy the Dark Revival is one of those sequels that actually improves the first game. Before, we had an episodic story that fumbled in the last act. But now we know why it loops, why characters don't die, why Henry left all those messages. The Dark Revival has reignited my love for the series. It's an easy recommendation, and it's a great horror game for those that don't do too well with horror. Anyways, guys, go get the game, show the developers some love, and as always, thanks for watching.